Okay. I have a few just I wanted to ask some like background questions. So first of all, like what do you do at USC? And
Yeah.
you're a PhD candidate, right?
Yeah, I just defended on June 10th, so just a couple of weeks ago. So
Yeah.
I'm earned the doctorate status now.
Hmm.
So yeah, this graduation year.
Hmm.
But I'll stay at USC to work as a research scientist.
Okay. And why did you choose your focus was on like vape usage with adolescents, right?
Yeah.
Why you chose that as a project?
Um, I uh, it kind of started well before I started PhD. I graduated from UC Berkeley journalism program in public health as well, and then I had an internship
Mm-hmm.
with a center that investigated causes of childhood leukemia, and
Mm-hmm.
I was sort of doing communication for them because they were like very biomedical group focused on biomedical research, and
Mm-hmm.
so my role was there to kind of be responsible for translating their difficult biomedical sciences for like general audiences.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the risk factors for childhood leukemia that they looked at was cigarette use and e-cigarette use too. uh,
Mm-hmm.
and well, they mostly investigated how it affects maternal health, like sperm and eggs with
Mm-hmm.
parental preconception parental organs.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that was kind of again not my area of expertise because I'm not a biomedical researcher, but because they were studying cigarette and e-cigarettes, I kind of found my way to explore this topic from a completely different angle, from social media data.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of that's how, so that was my kind of thesis that I wrote for the School of Public Health,
Mm-hmm.
um, and also like the project that I worked for the center. And then the idea came up that I should apply for PhD if I want to investigate and research it kind of further. And I
Mm-hmm.
met this excellent group with Jennifer Unger and others at USC who kind of, I found out about this group that does a whole, science with so many directions that kind of fit what I wanted to do. And
Mm-hmm.
I applied for the program, and here I am. Yeah, that was a long response to your question.
No, I like.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask you like more in depth about like everything that you've done and all the research you've done. So my project is about like um in general, like I'm researching how social media affects adolescents through like vaping, like illegal activities in general, like drug usage, like body dysmorphia. So there's a lot of like different things I'm researching about. So I wanted to ask you like specifically about how social media influences like vaping and things like that. So can you talk about like in general what have you learned in your research?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Well, in general, like many studies found that exposure to e-cigarette posts that are on social media, especially Instagram and TikTok, that are platforms that adolescents frequently use,
Mhm.
are associated with a risk factor for e-cigarette use and initiation among adolescents. That's just exposure of any type of post, be it promotional or direct advertising or influencer posts or just user generated content. So there are so many studies that showed it from like different angles, and not only Instagram and TikTok, other platforms too. Actually, studies in the past used to kind of look at social media in general, and
Mhm.
I'm among some other researchers started to look kind of separately at each specific platform, which platform might be like a stronger risk factor, like TikTok and Instagram, and so far, or YouTube, and so far I think evidence indicate that TikTok is sort of
Really?
riskiest. Yeah, yeah. So even more than Instagram. So that I guess makes sense because yeah, there are just this viral engaging content that can be on TikTok, and adolescents like TikTok so much, and
Mhm.
maybe with Instagram they're more like into their social circles
Yeah,
exposed to content posted by friends, but in TikTok more so maybe
random people.
random content. Yeah. So that's how I explain it at least. Um, so yeah, any type of e-cigarette related posts kind of can be associated with this curiosity about e-cigarette use or initiation, and not only e-cigarettes, but lately we find that there's similar pattern with marijuana use or initiation.
Mhm.
Often e-cigarettes are co-promoted with marijuana together, and then there's a risk of dual use of these substances. So that's just kind of general overview.
And then are the posts that you guys are looking at, is it like a celebrity like holding a vape, or is it like ads for vapes? Like what type of content is it?
Yeah, it is different type of content. Like some researchers in our group looked at direct advertising, like standalone devices of e-cigarettes.
Mhm.
Some looked at celebrity promotion, like in music videos. Me specifically, I look at micro influencers that are non-celebrity influencers who are like not popular per se, but they're popular among their like small followers. And when I was sort of learning on what micro influencers are and why should we even care about them if they're not even celebrities, I kind of what especially inspired me is I attended one of the social media related webinar where influencers there were just commenting on what influencers are and saying, well, you can be an influencer with just 10 followers. Even, well, it's a little bit an exaggeration, but you can be an influencer with 10 followers as long as you can engage your audience and if they like you. So, and I think it kind of resonates with like why I'm interested in this specific crowd. And especially another thing is I see that just becoming an influencer is something that youth, adolescents now is very interested in. That's at least as a career choice. And I found it very curious because it's so easily achieved by anyone, right? You might not become a celebrity, which kind of pipe dream, but being a micro influencer is easy for anyone. Like if you have 1,000, a lot of people have 1,000 or more followers, and they can earn money and they can feel their sort of semi-celebrity, mini celebrity status, and sort of being your next door influencer. That's what kind of fascinates me about this.
And that also aligns with TikTok because
Yeah,
filled with micro influencers.
yeah,
People
exactly.
that just blow up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and brands, e-cigarette brands really like them. Well, just in general, it's a popular marketing tool, but e-cigarettes as well, just like many other brands, hire them because they're cheaper than celebrities, right? You can hire many of them, partner with them. So yeah, in many respects, it's an interesting group to look at.
Is the advertisement for micro influencers, is it like direct where it's like that it's an ad, or is it like, oh, we'll pay you to like hold like show that you're using this vape, and like people don't know that it's actually an ad? You know what I mean?
They often don't know. Yeah, that's what studies show, that promotional posts are kind of get more more interesting for audiences. They're like considered more engaging if they are considered as authentic as compared to direct advertising. And what sometimes or even often defines the authenticity is sort of the absence of this is sponsored content. I'm promoting this because somebody's paying me. So well, influencers are supposed to be kind of experts or curious, or being interested in a product regardless of who pays them. And well, if it is getting paid, it's even better, right? But yeah, the more authentic the post, the better it is for.
Really?
And yeah. That's what studies show. Yeah, I saw studies too that actually saying that indicating sponsorship can increase the trust, but their studies show the complete opposite. Like
it's like reverse psychology.
Yes. Experiments show when whatever a post was, where the clear promotion was indicated, like whatever sponsored, versus when the sponsored indicator was absent. The posts with absence of sponsorship disclosures were generating more attention.
It's like when someone comes up to you and asks you, oh, do you want to buy something? And I feel that way too. Like if I walk by a store and there's someone telling me, come, I'm like, no, thank you. But if I walk by a store, I'm more likely to go in if no one's like begging me to come in.
Exactly. Yeah. There's this theory called attribution theory, actually,
Mhm.
that speaks exactly that. So if a spokesperson, if you feel that spokesperson is genuinely interested in the product and it doesn't push you, then you're kind of more inclined to relate to this
Mhm.
product. Yeah, it's just exactly what you just said.
Mhm.
So yeah, and many, and probably knowing that, I mean, I don't know the exact reason, but it's very likely because influencers are aware of that. They are not very often do not disclose their partnership with brands. At
Yeah.
least they're supposed to disclose based on the Federal Trade Commission guidelines. They're supposed to disclose in each post, and it has to be like clear and unconspicuous disclosure of. There's certain wording that they have to use, but they use it inconsistently, not in all the posts.
There's loopholes.
Yeah. And sometimes it's actually hard to know whether maybe this specific post they
Mhm.
were just vaping and not promoting anything, but there's kind of no way to know. But we just use certain ways how to still consider this post promotional if we saw that there was kind of clear promotion indicator of that same brand in a different post, but it wasn't disclosed in another post. Well, we kind of count it as promotional because, well, most likely they're all promotional and they all get paid for that, or just get them for free, but just don't disclose them as they should.
Do you think there's more on TikTok and social media? Do you think there's more like promotional content or more like just
User generated, just not known. Yeah, that's a really good question. Huh? That's a really good question. I don't think I've ever quantified it.
Mhm.
Or someone. It's actually a very good topic for a research question. Can you actually quantify it? I think, and yeah, and depending on um, how you define sort of your population of posts that you're looking at.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's a good question, and I'm sure. Well, each specific study that might just looked at here's promotional content, here's like how I classify promotional content, here's like user generated.
Mhm.
um I am just not even ready to tell you which. It's a really good question, but I really don't know how
Okay.
which is more prevalent. Yeah.
Okay. Um, do you think that like adolescents are, did you do your research on like all like of general population or just like young people, like adolescents?
Adolescents and young adults as
Okay.
well. Adolescents, I guess, my favorite subject,
Mhm.
but I've done actually only one experiment among young adults.
Young.
Yeah, just to test some how the e-cigarette related content affects their e-cigarette perception.
And do you think that like adolescents are fully like aware of the effects of vaping, or are a lot of them just misinformed?
It probably depends on the population. People we spoke to or who we interview in at schools that are sort of agree to collaborate with University of Southern California, provide survey data or focus groups. Most of them are aware because they are, well, at least one cohort that we have, they are sort of like good students,
Mhm.
like a straight, well, maybe not necessarily a straight,
Are
but
these schools in
students,
LA?
yeah, who usually who. It's not their norm to vape, so they kind of mostly
Mhm.
non-users of e-cigarettes. So overall, the prevalence of vape use among population who USC deals with have quite low prevalence of e-cigarette use. So
Okay.
yeah, they are aware of harmful effect, but
Mhm.
they also acknowledge they are exposed to e-cigarette content on social media,
Mhm.
and when we talk to them in focus groups and what we find in experiments, they still are susceptible to certain influencer marketing features, uh,
Mhm.
even though they kind of realize that e-cigarettes can be harmful. So
Mhm.
certain marketing features can make e-cigarettes seem as less harmful. uh,
Mhm.
Sometimes kids indicate susceptibility, like maybe I will try this product in the future, like maybe just because I like this influencer. So
Mhm.
there's a kind of all red flags for us to say that what our kids might see on social media in certain social circumstances, they could be willing to try, even if that might,
Even if they know the effects.
yeah, and not, again, not all of them, of course, but
Mhm.
even if some, it's kind of, it's problematic. Yeah. And by the way, just returning to your question about the prevalence now, like, again, I haven't quantified, so it's better to provide responses based on specific statistics and numbers, but it seems to me, I'd say that it's promotional content is probably more prevalent nowadays, just because, well, vaping, well, it used to be a little bit more popular in like 2019 pre-Valley. Right now the popularity is kind of going down, but
Really?
promotion still exists. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. There are other products on the rise, like oral products. But yeah, the rate of e-cigarette use is declining. Yeah, based on CDC. So that's I guess a good thing. But then again, just because maybe there's more or less user generated content, just because of curiosity about the vaping a little bit declining, the promotional content is still there, because there are still a lot of especially flavored disposable e-cigarette products that people, influencers, promote, or brands advertise, and there are other products that appearing in the market that gets co-promoted with them. So yeah.
Do you think there's more of an appeal to vaping compared to like underage drinking or marijuana? Like, what do you think is the most like appealing?
Yeah, I think marijuana is kind of still. I think marijuana is more appealing. Some of this studies, still preliminary data that we're working on, shows that exposure to e-cigarette content is associated with marijuana use, even kind of stronger than with e-cigarette initiation. So maybe kids, when they look at e-cigarettes, they think, oh, maybe, or disposable vaping, they might think, or I don't know whether it's nicotine in them or marijuana in them. Plus, in some focus groups that I heard kids talking about marijuana, they think that marijuana is less harmful than e-cigarettes. So that is, yeah,
Is
that
that
is.
by the way?
Well, I'm not a toxicologist. I mean, it's a difficult. I mean, you can't. I don't think that you can really answer about these questions like in a vacuum, right? Just, or if you try to just take marijuana and leaf and vaping and just analyze their components, might be that marijuana will come out safer as e-cigarettes, but they do not exist. Yeah, they do not exist in vacuum. When there's one substance, there's another, and we are here in health behavior research and beyond, usually concerned about co-use, because one thing doesn't count. You try one substance, then you can't another and go back and forth. So that's what is concerning. That's especially in adolescence. Yeah, and alcohol too. We kind of see quite high prevalence of well, let's just say good presence of alcohol promotion among
Social media.
yeah, on social media, and among influencers who I think of them as lifestyle influencers, who are not necessarily focused on promoting e-cigarettes, but they promote they're influencers in other things, like maybe they're models. Or
Do you know Alex Earl?
no, I don't.
No.
Who's
She's
Alex?
like a blonde girl that goes to University of Florida, I think. No, U Miami. She goes to U Miami. And all of her videos are her just like drinking in clubs, vaping, and like a lot of teenagers like aspire to be like her.
Oh yeah, I just
Have you
googled
heard of
her.
her?
Oh yeah. I mean, I haven't, but I'm just looking at her. Yeah, now I realize that. Yeah, actually, yeah, I saw her post. Yeah, I just not. Yeah, I just didn't. This is a little bit like a little bit more popular than the population that I'm looking at. But yeah, we have a sample right now. We're collecting a sample of people who are maybe like her a little bit, like more popular than micro influencers, where they actually have a pretty high prevalence of drinking and marijuana more so than e-cigarettes. So
I was
I
wondering, could you give me like a few people that you've like collected from, or is that
yeah.
okay?
I guess I can share. Do you want to talk to them or just write about them?
Um, is it okay to write about them? Like,
Um, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think yeah, no problem. I am we're just kind of collecting their profiles and then collecting some kind of social media metadata related to them to do a big analysis. But yeah, I can definitely send you
a few.
a couple of names from this data set, so you could take a look. Yeah,
Okay.
like not a lot. Like we have a big sum, but I don't know. I can send you like I don't know, maybe 10 or something. Would it work?
Yeah, 10 is good.
Okay. Yeah. I will. Yeah. Not
What is
not.
your like
Mhm.
following range? Is it like 10K, 20K?
No, it's more than that. It's
What?
well, 10K, 20K. It's what I have been working or focusing mostly throughout my PhD, 4 years in PhD. But this kind of new crowd, I haven't looked at them very much in detail yet. So this is like ongoing project. But their followers are higher than that. So more like in the
Hundreds?
range of this Alex Earl, like maybe a million plus. Well, like
4 million?
Alex has 3 million. Yeah, so it's a little bit high, but at least a couple of 100,000.
Okay, a couple 100,000.
Yeah.
So back to my original question, do you think that like vaping could serve as a bridge for like alcohol or marijuana? Like if you start one thing, they're more likely to just go and do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally think so. And I think my opinion is shared by a lot of researchers. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what we define as co-use. So yeah, you start with one substance and then go to the next.
Do you think that vaping is a more like do you think that's like the starting one and then or is it like alcohol? What's the
Yeah,
most
yeah. I think it differs from person to person. And
Mhm.
there are studies out there which looked at which product was tried first and then which product followed after that.
Mhm.
It's yeah, I can maybe find a couple of studies for you that are out there that our group, not our group, but our colleagues at USC kind of looked at. So, but yeah, it really it differs from person to person.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think.
There's like one thing that because from what I've heard that most people start with alcohol and then they start vaping and then they end up in marijuana.
Mm,
That's what I heard the common route is, but I don't know.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think of that as like any substance can be a gateway for another. But I will take a look at what our group have published on the first product used and then how it progresses to whatever substance. I just don't remember off the top of my head, but what they investigated. So to be more scientific. But if I find, I'll forward you the studies.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm?
And then I wanted to ask you, based on your research, like which group of people are the most susceptible to vaping? Like what type of audience? Is it girls, boys, like age
Yeah.
wise?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't say anything specifically about the age,
Mhm.
but some preliminary findings indicate that females are more susceptible than men.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. This is it didn't used to be like that in the past. Studies that looked at the by sex at birth difference for cigarette initiation were finding that cigarette males would likely
That's
start
fine.
to be curious about cigarettes compared to females, but now it's kind of reversed. We even see higher prevalence of marijuana and the cigarette use among females than males.
Really?
Yeah, higher female use of Instagram and TikTok among females. Interestingly, males use YouTube a little bit more, but females use TikTok more. So maybe that's why they are kind of maybe at higher risk of cigarette use or initiation or susceptibility just because they use TikTok more frequently. And
Mhm.
that pattern that I described is related to exposure on such posts, e-cigarette posts on TikTok.
And I think the content is way like YouTube. If there's an advertisement, I think it's very clear that to you that like there's an
Yeah, yeah, and also YouTube might have more anti-vaping content, like educational campaign,
yeah.
and there are not as much of those on TikTok. I'm not so they don't exist; they do, but there are more bad stuff
TikTok
in
is
there.
way more like entertainment side.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then what about, do you know like socioeconomic class? Like based on like is like a wealthy teenager more likely to be susceptible than like someone who isn't?
Not really. We, at least I, in my findings, in my studies, I'm not finding financial status to be associated with that. It's kind of
Hmm.
equal across the board. I can say that white people are at higher risk.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, specifically related to e-cigarettes, and Asian people are not at lowest risk, at the
For
lowest.
e-cigarettes?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Hmm.
Okay, so white females you would say are probably the most like susceptible in general.
I didn't look at them like necessarily like the interaction of race and sex at birth. So I
Hmm.
would say just white in general, like separately, and female separately. I just haven't looked at the interaction.
Okay. Um, and I wanted to ask, do you think that the way it's presented in social media, like, is it because people see it as like it's cool to vape? Or like there's some people who say, oh, it relaxes me. And there's some people that say like they think they're cool if they do it. So what do you think is the main like trigger?
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the things. Vaping in social situation is cool, and this sort of hypothesis supported by some theories saying that when you see others, like for example influencers vaping in, when they're having fun, when they look cool, when it's not like they're just it's not like they're addicts and they just do it all the time, but whenever they vape in social circumstances, like doing something else and vaping too, like relaxing or even exercising or doing sports or some modeling or whatever, and they vape, it's like, among other things, I also vape. That is kind of more appealing and relatable
Mm.
because like teenagers don't like to be associated with or don't like to be labeled as addicts or are scared of something that is addict. But if it's just among other things, then yeah, it could be okay.
Okay. And then so you would say like teenagers don't like to be labeled as like addicted?
No,
No, they don't.
well, it would be it would be problematic. At least people who I talk to who kind of consider themselves. Well, again, I've never worked and actually want to do work with more high risk populations. So far, all experiments or interviews or focus groups that I've done were mostly, well, as far as I know,
Mhm.
based on again survey indicators. They're not at problematic kids and they go to good schools. So
Mhm.
yeah, they do see being labeled as addict as like not a good thing because they don't want to be associated with that.
Okay.
But at risk kids might be or talk or have a completely different view on that. So yeah, it's a good thing to keep in mind with what kind of population.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then I wanted to ask, do you know if like the kids you've like done research on, do they have like someone in their family who's like who vapes or like did you ask that with them?
Well, we have this question in the survey. Usually, e-cigarette use or any other tobacco product used by family member or friend usually is a good high predictor for e-cigarette initiation or use by a young person. Yeah.
So you're more likely to vape than to if you have someone in your family who
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
And then, like, did you ask people like, oh, how did you get it? Where did you buy it from?
Well, yeah, we have this question in the survey questionnaire where they get it from, and it used to be like they just get it from their friends in school or in bathrooms,
Mhm.
but they also aware that they can buy products online. Sometimes shipments can be shipped without a signature and things like that. So while probably still obtaining a vaping device from someone that people know is maybe most prevalent way of getting substance, but not the only way.
So you would say it's like pretty easy to find a way to get one, right? Like it's not hard.
Yeah. I think for the most part, kids look at it that way.
Okay. Um, let me check my question. I have a list of questions here. Okay, and then just to close it off, like what policies do you think like should be implemented to reduce the impact of social media on adolescent vaping? Like what can we do to reduce what's going on?
Yeah, in terms of well, it's not only social media. Of course, there are a number of things that needs to be done. So of course a combination of factors, including right your circle, your family and friends who vape, right, uh,
Mhm.
accessibility of vaping in stores, I don't know, your family dynamic, how stressed you are and everything. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's not just social media. You can't just like change something in social media and then everything will go fine. It's not. But if we're just focusing on social media, there are a number of things that sort of exist and could be improved. Like, for example, social media does have some guidelines in terms of what can be and cannot be advertised. Like, promotion or direct advertising of e-cigarette products are prohibited by Instagram and by TikTok.
Mhm.
Influencer marketing also kind of not supposed to be there, but it's still present. And community social media platforms are supposed to remove this content, kind of automatically detect and remove, but they
Mhm.
don't do it. And this is like $1 million question. We don't know answer to that. They're not doing it just because there's just so much of this content that they don't have the capacity to remove it,
Mhm.
or they just don't want to because
They're
obviously,
making money.
yeah, AI. What? Sorry.
Like they're making money off of the videos, maybe. Is that what?
Yes, it's possible too because AI algorithms now are very powerful and they have good AI algorithms to recommend you certain content, right? They can do, they personalize content very effectively, but removal of content that goes against their guideline policy for some reason is problematic, surprisingly.
Mhm.
So that I find it suspicious. So I don't hesitate to say that social media platforms should improve their algorithms for removal and detection of vaping posts because I think they can do it.
Mhm.
But I wish I can have a conversation with someone in Instagram and TikTok to hear their arguments why they don't do it. Or
They
uh,
don't have a warning, right? They don't put any warning or like when you if you see a video with a vape in it, is there like a warning at all?
well, not well. There are a number of things that can be like there's a warning label that all e-cigarette products should be equipped with. Just say warning: nicotine is addicted, is an addictive chemical. The warning label required by the Federal Drug Administration, U.S. Federal Drug Administration.
Mhm.
But there's also certain age gating, like you're not supposed to get access to e-cigarette related videos if you are younger than 18 or younger than 21, and some influencers actually have in their profiles they indicate that you're not supposed to see our videos if you're young, if you're a young person.
Okay.
But despite that,
Well, teenagers are
endorsement is
obviously
still
gonna hear
accepted.
that.
Hmm?
Yeah. teenagers are obviously gonna ignore that.
Yes. So it's not really working. Whatever notification it is, it's like
Mm.
not many influencers. Actually, most of them don't really restrict access for minors.
Mhm.
And we tested that too by just minors going to the profiles and seeing their content. So yeah, there's just a lot of things that might be written there in guidelines or in influencer profiles, but they're actually not working, probably on purpose. But yeah, so this is just like social media policy, but in terms of the federal regulators,
Mhm.
they do regulate tobacco product advertising, like certain themes, like youth appealing themes, cannot be advertised or social media, but specifically influencer marketing regulation is like very, very insufficient. Like again, it's limited to policymakers specify that youth are not supposed to access influencer posts, like I already mentioned, that they're supposed to have the FDA warning labels. I also already mentioned
Mhm.
that they're supposed to have sponsorship disclosures, that they collaborate with brands. So that's pretty much it.
So they
Yeah.
have rules, but they're not really being implemented well, basically.
Yeah, they have rules that are, in terms of social media policies, they have rules that are not being implemented really well.
Mhm.
And the federal policy, I think they have kind of too few rules for influencer marketing. There's
Mhm.
a reason for that. They think that if they start pressing influencers too much, they would kind of
Quit.
no, it's just be problematic in terms of the First Amendment, freedom of speech.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a gray area how they approach it. Like say, hey, influencers, you can't promote XYZ, or you can't show e-cigarettes in certain contexts. So yeah, that probably just makes it sort of the fear of the freedom of speech, the fear of somehow infringing on the First Amendment rights, make it more difficult to regulate influencer marketing as their content creators.
But that's dumb because it's like it's someone's health that you're affecting. It's teenagers that are being affected, like health.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why federal regulators are really interested in knowing whether there's a very, very hard evidence that these influencers are getting paid,
Mhm.
sponsored by e-cigarette brands. Like if they were disclosing it in every single post, then this would have been like hard evidence of collaboration.
So
But
the government
because
is looking for like research on this.
on
The government is looking for research on this, like on.
yeah, they are. Yeah, they want more studies that would show mm, at least the prevalence, of course. Well, the prevalence we already know. Like I published a study which states that most of the posts are, very few influencers properly disclose their collaboration with brands.
Mhm.
But so frankly, well, there could be more studies that would assess the prevalence of correct compliant disclosures with FTC, Federal Trade Commission, like
Mhm.
compliant disclosures, not compliant disclosures, absence of disclosures. Also, some studies of how exposure to such promotional and non-promotional posts affect adolescents. But also research kind of already showed that. So, uh, I mean, on one hand, more studies are needed to demonstrate that, but it still wouldn't be novel because we already have studies that kind of showed it and looked at it. Um, so I think it's just more a fear in general of the federal policymakers to go after influencers, just because they're kind of free content creators,
Mhm.
and um, as long as since there's so many posts where they do not disclose their partnership with brands,
Uh-huh.
federal
They can
just
track.
might not be sure how sure they can be, and we can't show that either,
Mhm.
because maybe it's just not enough for them to say, hey, if this influencer partnered with a with this brand and disclosed it in this post, but did not disclose it to another a different post. It's
Mhm.
they still collaborate with the brands, but maybe this is just not enough for FTA.
I don't know if you've heard of this before, but like my TikTok is very like
Mm-hmm.
correlated. Like I've noticed that vaping is correlated a lot with like anorexia and not eating. Like people
Mm-hmm.
they like instead of eating, they'll replace like a meal with a vape. Like
Really,
they'll
I didn't
feel-
know that.
yeah. There's a lot of teenagers who they say that when they vape, like they don't feel hungry anymore, and that's how they like lose weight,
Oh,
distract
very
themselves from
interesting.
eating. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you know if there are like any other supplements that are promoted with that, or it's just vaping, or there's something else going
Mm,
on, some weight loss substances?
I mean, definitely Ozempic, like, is on a like is on a high right now. Like, there's so many people on TikTok who are saying like they would die for Ozempic. They would like go far for it. Do you know
Oh,
what
I
Ozempic
didn't
is?
know. Can you? How do you spell it? Maybe you can drop it in the chat. This is
Yeah.
something I haven't heard of.
Have you heard of it before?
No,
It's
or maybe I don't comprehend it by just hearing. Maybe if I see, I
let me type it. It's a weight loss drug that like all the
Ozempic.
celebrities take.
No, I haven't heard of it. Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you saying that this gets promoted
On social media.
with e-cigs or not necessarily with e-cigs?
Not necessarily, but
Mm-hmm.
like I've seen photos of people like
Mm-hmm.
they'll say, like, oh, my meal for the day, and then it'll be a Coke Zero
Mm-hmm.
and an e-cig. It'll be a vape, and that's their meal for the day. So I've noticed that in my opinion, there's like a correlation between weight loss and
Mm-hmm.
vaping.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And so, and you also mentioned Coke, like
not
like
like
Coca-Cola or
diet. Yeah, the
Diet
Coca-Cola.
Coke?
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Hmm. That's really interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw energy drinks being promoted
Oh
by
yeah, energy drinks for sure.
promote, yeah,
Yeah,
but not necessarily Diet Coke. Well, Diet Coke is also energy drink, right? Or is it?
technically it's caffeine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, then it is. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
interesting.
super interesting.
Hmm. And there's this like trend. Do you know the coquette girls? Do you know what that is?
Mm-mm.
Let me type it in the chat. They're like they're obsessed with. Do you know who Lana Del Rey is?
Yeah.
So Lana Del Rey is someone who like people know that she vapes a lot. Like
Mm-hmm.
she brings her vape like on stage in a concert. So
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of her fans like vape to be like her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Called, like they follow an aesthetic called coquette.
Mm-hmm.
I sent it to you. But yeah, there's a lot of trends on TikTok like that are indirectly like promoting vaping. So it's interesting.
Sorry, I lost your. I lost the window where you are, so I could see. This is so weird. I just have too many windows open.
It's okay, me too.
Just a second.
Like there's people on I've seen posts on TikTok of people like um putting like ribbons on their vapes and making it
Ribbons.
cute. Yeah. They put
Mm-hmm.
a pink ribbon on it to make it look cute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't seen ribbons on
Mhm.
vapes.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a very like specific niche on TikTok. Like there's so many different like trends and everyone's like page is different. So my page has like a lot of that type of trends. It's kind of it's more hidden, I think.
yeah, yeah. Let me. Yeah, I should take a closer look at your page. I just didn't have time, but I'll definitely take a look because there's a lot of you. Oh, I found you. Okay, cockhead. Okay. Okay.
I can send you I wrote an article about this on
Yeah, yeah. Please do. Please do. Yeah.
send it to you. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, but I'm just getting a definition. Who is coquette? Like a woman who flirts, or
Yeah.
is it supposed to
I
be a?
think it's a French word. Yeah, it means flirtatious.
Oh, okay. Because I thought it's some kind of a brand. Just meaning that. So is it a brand or is it?
No, it's like a type of aesthetic. It's like, there's like emo girls like who dress emo.
Oh, okay, got it, got it.
Coquette is like girls who dress very pink and
Okay,
girly. Yeah,
okay. So
yeah,
that this is just a trend on TikTok.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a
Mhm.
trend.
And do this girl tend to use vape?
Like some of them, and like I told you, they decorate their vapes with bows to make
Oh yeah.
it's
Oh
very
yeah.
interesting.
Can you send me an article about that
Okay,
actually? That's
I'll
very
say,
interesting. Yeah, that would indicate actually like female appeal. And remember how I said that being female is associated with vape.
mhm.
So that article probably kind of speaks to that, and I'd love to read it and see what maybe how can we look at that systematically on social media? Maybe do a study. Yeah, yeah, please do. Yeah.
Okay, I'll send you an article.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I think those are all the questions I had for you. So
Yeah.
thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
That
your
was
time.
really awesome. I really enjoyed talking to
Yeah,
you.
I learned a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, and I really love your questions. Thank you. And yeah, I appreciate that you're doing that. Oh, can you just tell me how did you get how and why you got interested in
Yeah.
this?
So, um, okay. Do you know who Colleen Hoover is?
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
author? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I initially I really loved her books, and I always like adolescents are obsessed with her books. So I was always wondering like why what is the appeal to like Colleen Hoover? And I read an article and this person was saying, "Oh, it's cuz it's problematic." Like the way that women react in the books. Um did you read like It Ends With Us or It Starts With Us?
No, I haven't. No.
It's like a book about this girl who's getting abused by a man.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of like allows it to happen. So
Mm.
I was wondering why are girls like why do they like when a guy is bad to them, or why do they romanticize these types of things? So then I kind of like was thinking about social media. Oh, why do we romanticize like eating disorders? Like why is it like good to like get really really skinny, or drinking? Why is it cool to drink? Why is it cool to vape now? So I just started thinking like why do teenagers like to do bad things, you know? Did you watch Euphoria? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's another reason that I've been thinking about this
Yeah,
lately.
yeah. We even studied Euphoria. We used Euphoria for identifying vaping presence with some machine learning techniques.
Mhm.
So yeah, we found some good
There
examples
was
for it.
vapes in Euphoria? I
Yes,
didn't know that.
yeah, a lot. Yeah,
Whoa,
well, a lot. It's like a loaded word, but yeah, well, definitely presence of vaping there.
I didn't know that. I thought it was
Yeah.
just drugs. Oh,
No, vaping too. Yeah.
oh,
Mhm.
okay. But yeah, that's why I'm interested in it.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know, just I I for some reason thought again, maybe I'm a little bit disattached with like what adolescents truly feel. I thought this kind of manpower is something that used to be in the past, but now female teenagers are more like feminist type in general, or am I
No,
deluding myself?
you're right. You're right.
Mhm.
Like now, like girls like to look very like skinny and petite and cute.
Mhm.
They want like a guy who's more like over the top, if you know what I mean.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right.
So yeah.
Well, yeah, that is amazing.
Uh-huh.
Well, let me. I will send you the name of this influencers that I promised, and some of the studies that looked at like what is used first. And I appreciate it if you send me this article
Yeah. I'll send.
and yeah, and some recommendations of the books that you mentioned. I
Yeah.
would just love to read too. I'll have a
Mhm.
little bit more time after my dissertation defense and familiarize myself with
Mhm.
teenagers are truly interested in terms
Yeah.
of personalities. So
Yeah.
just yeah, I would love that.
Okay. I'll send them to you.
Thank you, Dima.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much. All right, enjoy your time in LA.
Enjoy your time on the East Coast.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.